Alright guys, well welcome back to Austin, Texas. The rain is finally gone and we're supposed to have a week or so of beautiful blue skies ahead of us. So let's get back to work on that Corvette. Alright, so here's where we left off before we got rained out. I was welding the frame back together on this rear suspension cradle. Some of you new guys out there may be wondering, why the heck did they cut this thing apart and weld it back together? Well, we cut that thing apart so we could fit it under this. My 1972 C3 Corvette. This is going to be a total pro touring resto mod kind of restoration here. I've never tackled a project quite this size before. I've done a frame off on the 76 Trans Am. You guys have probably seen that before. If not, check out those videos. But yeah, this is going to be something different. Pardon the mess in the garage, but as you can see, the engine and transmission have already been removed. I was running a ProCharge 355 with a blow-through carburetor with a Muncie 4-speed. Those items have been sold off, especially since I lost all oil pressure. Amazingly, the engine still ran. Thank you, Mobil 1 Oil. And you can see the frame has been pulled off. We are sitting on a homemade body cart right now. But this car is about 6 to 7 inches more narrow than the C5 is. So we're going to be narrowing that C5 chassis front and rear. We'll have to shorten it a little bit as well. And we'll be stuffing that thing underneath this car. That's the plan. And this is what's left of that C5. 2002 Z06. It was smacked really hard in the front, bent the frame. Bent the frame right here, on both sides. And we tried to straighten the frame, but it was never going to be safe again. So, decided to cut it up. And we're selling off the parts to help fund the project. So a lot of stuff's already gone, but I've still got a lot of stuff left over as well. I would love to get rid of some of this big stuff like the rear tub and roof. I think I've got a guy coming in today for the cracked hood. That'll be nice to get rid of that hood. AC box. That might be interesting to use on the new project, but that means probably cutting the firewall out of the C5 and putting it in the C3. I don't know if I want to do that much work. I got the gas tanks, which I don't know, depending on how things package under that C3. Maybe using those gas tanks as well. I don't know. Interesting idea. Got the driver's side door left and a bunch of knickknacks. Titanium exhaust. That'll be cool to use on this C3. And oh yeah, you guys probably noticed the wheels and tires are now gone off the chassis. Some guy in Houston just kept bugging me and bugging me and bugging me about them, and he didn't have any exchanges, but he was persistent. So yeah, I let him have them. $1,500. Brand new tires. I guess we both did okay. And so I may have to take off these, what do you call them? Gotti replicas that I've had on my Vette since the 80s. And put those on here. They're 15, so the brake calipers will have to come off to fit them. But that'll give me something to roll around for a while until I can find some nice 20s to put on this car. let's get to work. See if I can set up my camera on this LS6 engine here. This is the world's first 405 horsepower camera stand. That was welding kind of crappy there. Maybe it's a little rusty from the rain. Now, I'm not trying to flatten these welds out completely to make them aesthetically perfect. I just want to really check for porosities and make sure that the frame itself is well welded. The welds are actually a little stronger if you leave the weld bead a little proud, a little bit high. So I'm just trying to clean them up a little bit, not trying to flatten them out. Oh, this thing's getting heavy. It's probably a bit over 100 pounds now, 120 maybe. So I'm just gonna slide this up into place and see if I can't mount the transmission back there and start putting things back together. Okay, so it's going to be a tight fit in there. Let's see how this goes. Okay, I am hitting right down here somewhere. There's that bolt. I'm not sure if I can mark it here. It's about 1 inch down. 1 inch down from that mark there. So I'm going to have to relieve this aluminum to make way for that little bolt. Just a notch. Alright, well, here is my artwork on the grinding to get clearance for that, transmission cover there. This is where those two bolts kind of slide down there next to the frame. And I actually had to take a bit off this area here as well. I had to slope it at about, I don't know, what is that, maybe 10 degrees, 15 degrees to give room for the ribs on that side cover on the differential. I tell you, 7 inches taking out from this thing was quite a bit. 6.5 inches would have been a lot easier with probably minimal grinding. 6 would have been easy. 6 would have been a walk in the park. So, just saying, 6 inches easy, 7, it's gonna take a bit more work, but we're getting it done. And that is how the outer CV joint comes out. There we go. Okay guys, well this is my new grinding center that I built in my garage while it was raining. As you can see, the plywood still has wood shavings everywhere. And it's clean. There's no oil or grease on it anywhere. So it's time to change that. This is the rear sway bar out of the Z06 Corvette. We need to take 7 inches out of it. So I've marked it there, there. We're going to chop it, weld it, install it. Done. Alright, so here is the sway bar mounted up in a piece of angle iron, and I've beveled both edges and clamped them tight so I know it's straight here in the middle. You can see the rusty spots where the original sway bar bushings were. So we're gonna crank up the heat and burn her in. Alright, and like magic, there is my new sway bar. I went ahead and shot it with some rust converting primer. That stuff goes on clear, but you know, it starts to dry black as it encounters rust. I'm actually out of gloss black paint right now, go figure. So I'll buy some of that when I go into town, and then we'll get this thing installed. But first, let's look at the next issue. Hello, Trans Am. Hey, baby. What's going on? All right. The rear monoleaf spring. This is going to have to be shortened as well. So I've already marked off 3.5 inches from the end. There are rivets in here. So I'm figuring I can just drill out the rivets, cut the spring, drill a new hole, and move this over. I hope so anyway. Let's see how this works. clamshell there. Kind of clamps it in place. You guys can see that. That is a big freaking hole too. So yeah, there's my cut mark. So we're just gonna cut this off, and then maybe we can use this actually as a pattern to make our new holes and our new hole. Holes and hole. Alright, here we go. Nice and easy. Yeah, that's my favorite in the garage. Yeah.
Those two. Okay, I'm gonna put one downstairs.
All right, thank you. All right, well, we just cut that thing off. That was actually a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be. So we're going to mark the new holes and keep on going. So we got a hole all the way through this thing. I couldn't find any rivets at Home Depot that would work, so I'm just going to screw the thing. Alright, well, this thing's back together now. I'm going to use some red Loctite to make sure these guys don't come undone. These are 8/32 screws. That should be plenty.
We don't want to sew this thing.
All right. There we go. Let's tighten those down. Done. One shortened fiberglass spring. Now, some of you guys want to say, well, the spring rate's changing because you're going from way out here to way out here. But remember, we're shortening the cradle on the inside here, so these spring mounts here are going to get pushed over 3.5 inches as well. So this length is going to be the same. So, in case you were wondering. Alright, so here is the shortened fiberglass spring next to the shortened sway bar. Pretty cool. Alright, well, this is the moment of truth for the shortened sway bar. Let's see how this goes. That looks pretty good there. Let's see here. Is this thing upside down? That looks kind of funny. Let's try the other way. So here, that looks a little better there. That. Yeah, I'll go with that. Definitely. So yeah, bolt it in. Ha! It works. Do I sound surprised? Alright, well, I'm getting this fiberglass spring ready to go, and these isolators are urethane glued to the fiberglass spring. I tried to get them out with a screwdriver. That was not happening. So I am using a windshield removal tool here, and it works carefully. So yeah, this thing works pretty well. You just have to be careful not to cut through the fiberglass, because you can do that. I found that out when I would remove the tub. So I want to start on the bottom here, just so I can kind of cut the bottom so I know what I'm through. It's my very last one, so I'm getting pretty good at it now. Now up on top, get this going. There we go, we're at the corner. We'll slowly wrap it around. Keeping our eye out, making sure we're not cutting the fiberglass. And watch it smoke. You gotta watch your fingers on these too, because one wrong move and you can slice yourself. Almost through. Here it comes. Almost peel it off. There we go. Whew. So, yeah, we got a lot of that urethane and rubber crap to clean up. I'm not sure how I want to do that. Maybe a razor scraper. I don't know. I'll figure it out before I put it back in. And I'll probably just use silicone. Move these over 3.5 inches. Silicone in place. Bolt it back up. Done. Alright, so bolting the spring in. And it goes in pretty easy. There's actually a little center line marked on that spring, so you can double check your measurements here. Let's see, it's like 5 1/8, and this is 4 7/8. So it's gonna wiggle over just a hair. Have it 5 5. Oh, it's just too much. All right, there's 5 and 5, and maybe just a hair over it, right there. So that's centered right there. I don't have any glue or anything in here, but I'm trying to kind of button these up. I have to assume that these things could probably move around on you when you're driving. So they probably need to be glued in place, but that'll be one of my last things that I do. I don't know, this clamps it pretty tight here. I'd be surprised if it could move, but I'll still try to glue it. There we go. Right about there. How does that look? Yeah. Springs are hitting the concrete and the boards, but that's fine. And that, my friends, is how you narrow the suspension on a C5 Corvette. Thanks for watching, and hit that subscribe button.